Hey guys, and welcome to Cloudy Talks. This is Cloudy Emerald back again with the podcast number 14 with special guest me, Cloudy. Trying something new in this podcast. It's just Cloudy. No guests, no other peeps. One on one with me. I decided to go ahead and do one with just me because, there's other podcast people out there that just like Bill Burr or Tim Dillon, that kind of just do their own thing. So I thought it'd be a cool idea. So, back again, Cloudy. I'm sucking on the halls because I got sick. Oh no. Yeah, it was like last week, Monday. I started this new workout program. I'm like, oh yeah. There's like 3 levels, right? There's like the WIMP level, like the whatever level, and there's like the actual program. I think, okay, I'll start at the lowest level, the easiest level, just kind of go from there and work my way up. I mean, that way it's like a 3-month program instead of like a month and a half or a month or some BS like that. So I'm starting, and it's going pretty good. And it's like Monday, workout 1, right? You have to do like 4 exercises in a row, like back to back with like no rest. And it's like all body weight stuff. And then basically you just do those 4 and see how many you could do within like a 20-minute time frame. So like the first one's like push-ups or whatever, and then you go to this, that, and then I'm like, the first one, I did this workout like this round. It was like round 1, and it took me like 2 minutes to do it. I'm like, okay, if it took me 2 minutes, then that means I could do 10 rounds within 20 minutes. So I'll shoot for that. And it like did not happen because it was like round 2. I'm like already huffing and puffing, like, oh Jesus, please get to 20 minutes. It was kind of this weird like mental thing to where it's like I'm looking at the clock. It's like, okay, there's another round. How long did that round take? And it's like, oh geez, I still got 10 more minutes. Because you're supposed to just go until you can't go no more, or until like the 20 minutes is up. So I mean, I ended up getting like 7 rounds, which I think is pretty good, pretty solid. And I took like a couple of like breaks and rest or whatever. But seven rounds and like 7.5. And then it was like the Tuesday. It's like, oh, it's your rest day. And then Wednesday is supposed to be like the second type of workout. It's kind of similar. I come home Tuesday and I just feel like crap. I'm like, oh no, please don't get sick. So of course I get sick and I call in for like 3 days of for work. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to start all over again because I only did that. Like that. I only had like 3 workouts this week, which is like really low. But I guess it's because it's like the WIMP stage. But I was going to like fill in like with other workouts and crap during the week. But I got to Wednesday and I'm like, yeah, I can't do nothing. Like, I don't even want to push it. And I figured, my kids just went back to school. It was like their first week of school, week and a half. And boom, my daughter gets sick because like we've been home. This is like my first sickness too during like the COVID era. My very first sickness. I think might have had like a stomach bug and maybe like some allergies, but that's about it. My kids as well. So my daughter got sick. She gave it to me. I gave it to my wife. Wife gave it to my son, and then I'm a baby sick. But this is Saturday now. I'm recording. I think this is gonna go up on like Tuesday or something. But we're like just now all getting over it, so yeah, it sucked. But I guess Monday I'll go ahead and just start all over again with my workout program. Well, yeah. What else is going on? Oh, football's starting back up. Woo! I miss it. Usually when like football season ends, like I try to forget anything and everything about football. That way I won't like have it on my head. And then boom, August and September will show up and I'm like, yes, it's here. So I do this fantasy football draft. I started at my job. And my buddy, because there's like a bunch of my buddies at work and then some other extra people that I really don't know, I kind of know, just join up. It's a team of 10. And he was telling me we went to like this draft. It was like the first like quote unquote social event like outside the house again in the whole COVID era. Like I've been to birthdays and I've had like a birthday over my house, but I really just kind of been good and like stayed inside. So I went to my buddy's new house, right? He bought like a house like right down the street from Mimi. In an addition that I thought was like one of those $300,000 houses, which from what he was telling me, it's pretty close to a $300,000 house, which is where I live. It's pretty good. It's pretty fancy. So we go over his house, and he's like, "Oh yeah, so this is what, the 10th year almost?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, have I been doing this crap that long?" Because really, when I started, I knew like nothing about football. Definitely nothing about fantasy football. Which, if y'all don't know, it's just like you pretend to be like an owner of a team, and you draft all the people who are in the NFL as if they were like available to draft. And so you make your own team out of all the superstars of all the different teams. And then you have like a roster, your quarterback, your running back, your wide receiver, blah, blah, blah. And then your defense is usually just one unit. And then you go out and whoever scores the most that week, and you go head to head between all your buddies. So let's say this one dude's on this one team and he has like a really good game. But then this other dude that you have on your team, quote unquote, and he's like on a whole different team and he has like a really bad game. And your scores are like how much yards you get, how many points you score, or their team scores, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of complicated if you really get into the weeds of it. But basically, it's just like you're pretending like you own these players on your team, and however well they do that week is how well your team does overall. So it's fun little get together. It used to be like one of those things where it's like, oh, no wife, no kids, a bunch of beer, and I would get like completely trashed because I had this buddy who lived like in the same area as I do. So he'd come pick me up, and he doesn't drink at all. So we drive all the way to our buddy's house, is usually where it's at, and we would get like completely trashed. Well, I would get trashed, and he would just like drive me home, and I would try not to throw up in his car. But I haven't been drinking that much. So when I showed up, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to eat no pizza. I'm not going to drink no beer. And like I brought some stuff just, so I won't show up empty-handed. And we're sitting around. I'm doing good. I'm not eating this pizza this dude bought, which was like 80-inch pizzas. I don't understand like why these pizzas were this big. But he bought like 6 of them. Spent almost like $100. I'm telling you, this is the biggest dang pizzas I've ever seen. The slices are huge. Like the ones you pay like $3 at like a carnival for, and you get like one huge slice. That's basically what he had, just for like 10 dudes, half of which didn't show up and didn't eat or whatever. I was like, man, I wish I was fat. I'd be eating like 18 pieces right now. But they'd absolutely kill me. But then he was like, oh, hey, this is my buddy's house. And he's like, oh, yeah, so we have this thing called Wine-A-Ritas or Rita wines. It's like a margarita / wine. I don't understand it. These alcoholics are getting like bored and just coming up with BS. He's like, you want to try? I know you like wine, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll try a little bit. So he pours this thing, and it's like lime margarita with, I'm guessing, like white wine. And it's mixed together in like this glass bottle that just looks like a normal like liquor bottle. So he pours this for me, and it's like a good size glass. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just try this. I'm driving. I don't have a designated driver. The dude who usually takes me like moved to a whole nother city. I'm like, oh, what a loser. So I'm taking this thing, and I just accidentally down it, and I'm like, huh. I'm like, the seal has been broken. I was like, well, I'll just have one beer. I like chugged the beer. I'm like, well, I'll just have one slice of. Luckily, I kept away from the slice of pizza. But like as I'm walking back to my spot in his house, I'm like, getting woozy. I'm like, oh no, I gotta chill. But now that was like last weekend, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun because usually, like I say, I just go there and I drink way too much, way too fast, and so like for 2 hours I'm stressed out. Like, am I gonna throw up? Am I gonna pee myself? Like, am I gonna like throw a punch just to be stupid? But luckily, like I didn't get too trashed or nothing. And so, I don't know, it was pretty cool. And most of the guys that were there, even though half of them I really don't know, because they like, the buddy who started it, he like works at a different job. But he's brought in people from these other jobs that he's worked at. I really don't know them, but they seem like pretty cool guys. So, and then his house is actually pretty cool. It's like, oh, hey, follow me. I haven't showed you this house tour. And this is like when everybody else is trashed, right? And he like now wants to take me on a house tour. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I was thinking like 5, 10 minutes and I get the hay out of there. I've already been there for like 2 hours. But this dude was like drunk as a skunk, and he like, come to my closet. He has this huge big old safe with like 80 rifles in it. I don't understand. Like, I was like, what the heck? He's like, here's this one rifle. I just built this. And he like picks it up and he like hands it to me. And it's like, here's another rifle, and he hands that rifle to my buddy. And it's like, and this is another rifle. This was from 5 years. I'm like, it was just like a bag, like a stupid magic bag, where he's like pulling out bunnies, but he's pulling out pistols, AKs, bolt action rifles. I'm like, dude, I want to say you have a problem, but like, this is actually a pretty cool problem to have. He has like those old school like ammo looking cases. He got like 5 of those. He's like, oh yeah, I got like 5 of them on a deal. It's only like $40 for all 5. They're all full, so I gotta get more. I'm like, oh my god, he's like total zombie invasion ready, which is kind of crazy. And he like starts pulling out pistols everywhere. And he's like, where's my shotgun at? And he like trips over his shotgun. I'm like, oh, here it is. And then he shows me his upstairs. He's like, okay, I got a pistol over here. I got my crossbow over there. I got another half of a right. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, you're like loaded down. But that was pretty cool. And then afterwards, I went and I ate with my brother and my buddy at this restaurant, which was neat. And that was last week, so I'm definitely ready for football. Officially starting next week. I'm ready to have all day Sunday, just football-palooza. And I had to get my baby Muna into the whole swing of things. Speaking of which, so I do this thing now called the Corona Shave, where it's like, I hate getting my hair cut. I absolutely hate it. My hair looks like crap anyways, like all the time. I just really don't care about it. So I made my wife like cut my hair during coronavirus, right? And I have like this little old school. I don't even know when I got it. If I got it from somebody, if I stole it from like my mom or something. But it's like this razor. It's just like a normal like hair cutting razor with all, and it's like cheap and plasticky. And she just rips my hair off and just buzzes me down. So I'm like completely bald. So I sit on my couch last night watching this anime, and my wife's like, here, hold Muna. So I'm holding my baby. And, you know, after the anime is over, there's like this song that I really dig. And so I start singing. And my baby is like on my chest, moves her head back and looks up at me like, oh. And I'm like, oh, you like my singing? And I'm sort of like rocking her and singing to her. And I'm like, babe, come. I'm like, she loves my singing. And, you know, my wife sees it. She's like, I sing to her too. I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, well, she don't look at you like this. And then, like, I watch another episode, and I'm sitting there watching it, and, you know, my baby's still laying on me, and then she turns her head and looks at me again. I'm like, I'm not even seeing, what's wrong? I'm like, oh my gosh. She's staring at my bald head, and I just shaved my face. You know, I had a bunch of crazy facial hair. And so she's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, you don't know who the heck I am, do you? And here she is now. Hey, Muna, I'm telling the story how you was freaking out. Tell him. Tell the people real quick. Yeah. Uh-huh. This is like yesterday. She's just now getting used to me. Because she was really like, I thought she like loved my singing. But no, her mama gave her to me, and she tilted her head back and up like, who is this stranger? Like, who's this terrorist looking motherfucker? You gonna blow me up? Hey, Muna. Do I look like a skinhead? Oh! I love all people. White people. This is our land. It's grand. Ain't that right? Alright, good night, Muna. Bye. That was Muna, y'all. Crashing the party. In the middle of my story. Anyways, it was really funny. I was really like, she loves my singing. But no, she was like afraid for her life. Like, who is this dude? But yeah, what else do I want to get into? How about some news? Let's do a segment called Cloudy News, where he looks up on his phone and picks out a random news thing to talk about. Let's see. No, that's not that news. Hurricane's coming. That's gonna suck. Child actor dead. That's kind of crazy. Real estate trend. Island. I don't care about that. Well, that was news segment with Cloudy. There's nothing really good out there. I'm gonna cough now. Don't you love it when you get like a good cough out and a good sneeze and snot out? Makes you feel like not sick, and then 5 minutes later everything clogs up again. But yeah, not much. Oh yeah, so this week I'm gonna go out for my passport. Woo! I might have said something in like a podcast in the past, but I'm gonna try to go to a Japan trip in 2022. Wife doesn't think it's gonna happen until like 2025 or something. Apparently, there's like this Japan Reddit that she's on all the time, and everyone's like, "Yeah, don't come here, guys. It's bad. It's so bad. It's not gonna be until 2025." I'm like, what do those people know? We're not alone. Like it was the same year in 2020 to where we opened back up, and things seemed like it was looking up until like the Delta variant came around. So, which I think is what's ravaging the whole world. But it seems hopefully like that's slowing down, and eventually it should. And even though there's like more mutations and blah blah blah, it's like these countries are gonna have to open up eventually, soon. I'm hoping. But this week, hopefully there's no static. I'll go ahead and get my passport, or at least get in it. It doesn't matter if it's going to take 6 months for me to get it, because I probably can't even plan to go to Japan until 2022. And to be honest, it probably is going to be until 2023 until I get tickets to be like, okay, this is booked. It's looking good. It's insured. You know, I got my passport, and that's really all I need is the passport and just the booking of everything. I should be golden. I don't care, man. It's going to be a 16-hour flight, and I told wife, like, in these 16 hours, that's when we that's when we know what we're going to do. As long as we can get there, we have money and a way to, like, access the money and access any type of funds, that, like, easily, we should be good. You know, everything else is golden. Because it's not like everything's, like, super expensive, or you're going to pay, like, an arm and a leg. I mean, I guess a lot of tourists go to Japan, but it's not like we're going to go to Vegas where you get like a sandwich and it costs like $30 or whatever. Or it's not one of these countries you go to and like people come up to you and like, oh, hey, where are you staying at? Where you going? And they lead you down some alley and like jump you. Like Japan's a relatively safe place, and there's definitely food there that can be like really cheap. So, and it's not like we're going to go into like a hotel where it's like $80 a night or something. But even if it was, I mean, I'd pay it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm gonna waste so much money on going to Japan. The tickets are gonna probably be the most expensive thing. So once I get the passport, or once I get the tickets, and once a plane is ready, like there's going to be a plane gonna go to Japan, right? And I'm gonna be on it. Like once I'm on that plane, everything else is golden. As long as I make it to there and I make it to the plane back. Like that's a big worry. Everything else happening in Japan, I don't care what we do. We could probably just walk around the whole time, and that would be like the perfect vacation. This is honestly something wife and I have been wanting to do since we were like kids, like even before we knew each other. I think we had like the same type of dreams to go to Japan, experience the culture, the old school culture, right? Where you go in like shrines and mountainsides and like the old school hotels, to like the Tokyo, the big tech city lights, all the cafes. She's like, we gotta go to a cat cafe. I was like, yeah, we gotta go to a maid cafe. And they had this cafe that's like a robot cafe. To it literally, like as you're sitting down and eating, there's like this giant mech robot fight in the middle of this restaurant. And there's like this whole story. And it's like a really famous restaurant. I don't know if there's like multiple ones of them or not. But like there's like this whole story that unfolds like as you're eating. Almost kind of like, what's that dang night place? A place you sit down and oh my gosh, you know what I'm talking about. It's basically like that, but instead of like knights and like sword fights and stuff, there's like robots duking it out while you're like sipping tea and stuff. So it should be really, really awesome. So I can't wait to get at least the passport process started. And for what I've heard from like my brothers and stuff, like it's not too bad. And he said, I want to say he said he got his in like 2 weeks. This is obviously pre-pandemic, which I heard, like you can't even pay extra to get your passport to come in early. That's how crazy it is with any of this stuff, really. Administrative stuff. I just don't think they have the capacity. But yeah, That's another thing this week that's going to be really exciting. Football, passport, getting back to work after being off for 3 days. Oh my God, I'm going to be so behind come Monday. Monday's going to be a quick day because I'm just basically going to get in. I'm not even going to leave my chair, I bet. I'm just going to be catching up. I'll probably have like 300 emails. It's going to suck. But it should make for a quick week next week. And then my kids are going to hopefully go back to school because they missed a whole bunch of school this week. But my son seems to be enjoying it. Funny thing is, too, he's like, yeah, my buddy from last year, he finally showed up. I was like, oh, yeah, why did he miss the first week of school? Oh, he had the coronavirus. I'm like, oh, God. It's like, you didn't run up to him, start hugging, and him spitting all over you. He said, oh, yeah, I hugged him. He, like, looked at me like I was weird. Not to think, like, the kid's, like, you know, diseased or whatever, but, I mean, pretty much. I was like, oh, God, son, you bringing the Rona home. No, but this week, hopefully, there'll be a full week of school. And then it's going to be my son's birthday. That's another thing that's happened. Yeah, my son's birthday party. So we're doing it at my house. So it's nice and chill. Because it kept bugging me like, oh, where should we go? Where should we go? Should we go here? Should we go there? And some of these kids' places, dude, that like want you to have a birthday party there, it's ridiculous. It's like $400. You can only have 5 kids, no outside food and drink. And some places are like, no, you can't have a cake. It's like, how am I going to pay $400 to go somewhere to not do all the stuff you do at a birthday party? Like, I don't understand. Like, people have food at birthday parties, cakes, drinks. Like, some of them are like, oh, you can't have decorations or whatever. It's so dumb. Or they do this thing to where it's like, oh, you can't have food because we're partnered with, like, the pizza place down the street. It's like, okay, so how much is a pizza place? It's like, oh, it's $30 a pizza. And you had to have 8 pizzas. And it's like, so I'm paying $400 plus $100 in pizza. I just don't understand. Yeah. So I'm just like, I didn't even want to mess with it this year. Not that I'm freaking out about like Corona or nothing. But I don't want, all these places like closing down and being weird. And you never know what's going to happen. So I was like, let's just do it at home this year. We'll wait a whole nother year. And I don't mind spending the money on all these cool places. Because there's actually this like museum place that we went to for like my son's 4th birthday, which is like really cool. And I'm wanting to go back there again, but it's seriously like $300. But they have this package, which is kind of expensive. It's like, oh, plus like $80, and we get to do like science experiments in front of you. So last time, I like this. I could have sworn it was my son's 4th birthday, but they made like ice cream or something. So they had like the liquid nitrogen and this and that, and there's all this fuzz, and they like made ice cream. And like the birthday boy, my son went up there and like they were like talking about it and doing all these science experiments. So something like that I think is worth like the $400 or whatever. But some of these like bouncy houses and things, I'm like, yeah, you can keep it. So yeah, this weekend, birthday party. And I should see some family members I haven't seen in a while. All hanging out. I think we're just having pizza. I'm not really sure. But that's another thing my wife did this weekend. She made macaroons. Oh, Lord. So macaroons are like, I want to say French. I looked it up before. Like this French like cookie with like this cream in the middle. It's like super delicate and fancy people desserts, right? If you go to like La Baguette or some of these like Italian places or French places, it's like $3 a dang cookie. It's ridiculous. It's dumb. But they're like super good. And they're kind of like a crispy, it's not a cookie. I can't really explain it. Anyway, she made them. And like the first batch was like trash. I think she like doubled or tripled like the salt. And they all like disintegrated and exploded and stuff. And they take like 5 hours to make. But then like the second batch, she ended up making like 20 macaroons, which is crazy. And we took all those down in like a course of like 3 days. And of course I'm not vegan, which I'm like, oh my gosh. But that second batch was like really good. And she like dyed them green. And she had like this buttercream like feeling or whatever. Which I'm not sure what the feeling of these cookies are. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a buttery creamy or that's just like the piggy American way. But then she's like, oh, I'll make a chocolate ganache for you. Whatever ganache is. I'll use your vegan chocolate chips. I was like, oh yeah, cool. So she makes this big old puddle of like just chocolate goop I think she mixes it with like marshmallows, like vegan chocolate chips, and it's something else. And it basically, it kind of tastes like fudge, super dark. So I'm sitting there eating spoonful. I'm like, man, I can't believe this is vegan. She's like, oh, it's not. I'm like, what? I'm guessing she mixed it with like heavy whipping cream or butter or something. I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it's basically like she made fudge. And so I put the fudge on top of the oh, what are they again? I'm blanking. Macaroons, right? With the buttercream on it. And man, it's awesome. That second batch was like really good. So I ate 20 of those this weekend to go along with my non-working out butt. But next week, like this week, I was actually doing pretty good. Other than the macaroons, I don't know why in my head I'm like, oh, they're macaroons, they're good. I ate like 10 of them, and still I was like lying to myself saying I was doing good on my diet. But Monday, even though I haven't gone shopping, I should go back to eating well and I'll restart my workout program. I'll work out and get that going, and then get my week going at work. So next week should be actually a pretty busy week now that I'm thinking about it. But it should all go by pretty quick. Pretty fast. Then I don't know. Hopefully this will be my only sickness of the fall / into summer / winter. Because this was a doozy. It wasn't that bad, It was one of the ones that were like, it attacked my throat, then attacked my head, then now it's in my chest. Which I've gotten this type of thing, like it's head cold or whatever it is, like 100 times. So I should be good for another like year or two until I get sick again like this. But yeah, that was Cloudy Talks. I think I'll go ahead and wrap it up here around 30 minutes. Cloudy Talks, episode 14. Just Cloudy. That's a reference, if anyone can get it. I got some more reaction videos coming up. I got Elaine's Play coming up when I edit it. I don't know when I'm going to edit it. It may or may not be Ricky the Rat Part 2. Ooh, get excited, y'all. Watch it, please. And if y'all got any more suggestions for podcast ideas or reaction ideas, let me know. Oh, I got a Proto-Dead reaction coming out in a couple of days. Actually, this will probably be coming out after that, so hopefully y'all watched that and liked it. It is explicit. And I'll probably do another podcast with the whole fam for next week, so look out for that. This has been Cloudy Emerald with Cloudy Talks. I'll see you next time. Keep it cloudy.